Hey, it's Nate.
This is Barry.
It's Brian.
Welcome back to another episode of the Collecti-Bros podcast. To address the elephant in the room, I apologize for my voice sounding a little different today. I tried to break the
sound barrier?
Yeah, I feel like I just broke my vocal cords instead, so I apologize for that first and foremost. But today's episode, what we're actually all here for, not to criticize my voice, is about shitty games that we enjoyed. These weren't universally well-received games. We tried to pick games at the 50 or under. I kind of cheated and went a little higher, but we each picked 3 games that were critically panned, and we're going to defend their honor, tell everyone why they're actually good games, fun games, and why you should play them. Dive into them a little bit. So before we get into all that, though, let's go around the room and talk about our recent pickups and what we've been playing. Brian, do you have any recent pickups? I saw a few from a picture you sent, so...
Yeah, I've been on a pretty good tear here. You know how it is with the Xbox filler, but, whatever about the sports games, who cares? I got a unique original Xbox game. I'm pretty excited. As the same day I got Futurama on a bunch of consoles. I love the original Xbox. Y'all know this. It's a European exclusive game. It's called Scar, like Oh Boy from The Lion King. But it's Squadra Course Alfa Romero. I've never seen one in person. I didn't really know this existed. And I did a little bit of Googling and realized it's a European exclusive, so that's exciting. Really affordable, so happy with that. But yeah, the big boy on the OG Xbox, really checking that down as far as top tier original Xbox games I need left. I got a hell of a deal on Futurama, complete in box, so Primal Rage on Genesis, so it's another version of Primal Rage on the list. It's great. Kamen Rider for Sega CD. I've been really trying to find that because I love everything Japanese kaiju. Console-wise, I was lucky enough to get a Lynx in a box, a Jaguar in a box, and a Vectrex all on the same day. Shout out to the convention I went to and picked all this up from. Yeah, it was a great grabs, man. Pretty stoked for that. But also, Sega fishing reel controller, brand new, never been used. So, don't know if it's sealed. The actual controller itself is, but the box doesn't have a sticker or anything over it. I mean, everything's brand new, so I'm probably just gonna let it be. But yeah, pretty excited. Pretty good pickup for me. As far as playing games, we've been messing with the Ubisoft games that the servers are closing down to try to get achievements. I really enjoyed playing through Splinter Cell Blacklist. I know there was a day you fell asleep early, Nate, and I was like, I'm just going to do the single player and let's try to knock it out in one night when I didn't sleep. And I was up to 4 or 5 in the morning playing it, enjoying every second of it because I wanted to keep going. It was a sleeper of a game. I remember when it came out, everyone was kind of like, yeah, it's all right. It's not your traditional Splinter Cell game. There's not a lot of sneaking. There's more kind of choose your own if you want to sneak or if you want to go loud. And it doesn't really penalize you either way. Previous Splinter Cells, you got caught, it was a game over. This one, you can fight your way out, and you're not some unstoppable killing machine like you were in Conviction. But I really, really enjoyed it, man. It was a great game, and I wish they would remaster it, honestly. It'd be a good one. But Ubisoft server closers, and that's pretty much it. Barry, what have you been playing? What'd you pick up?
What have I been playing?
Yeah.
All I've been playing is Final Fantasy XIV.
What's been happening on your adventures in Final Fantasy XIV?
They released the new patch. I don't know what else to say about it. There's a new hot lady in it. Everybody should know who it is by now. I have not only been playing Final Fantasy, I forgot. I also tried Shiren the Wanderer. It's the one on Vita. I think it also came out on PS4.
Wii.
No.
Right. Oh, the second one?
The second one. Oh. So it's called Shiren the Wanderer, The Tower of Fortune, and the Dice of Fate. I know that they re-released it on the Switch recently. Mine was on the Vita. I think there was one on the PS4, but I'm not sure. And it's basically a mystery dungeon game where you're this wanderer guy and you basically have to go up to this tower and climb this tower to fight God, which every JRPG does is you just fight God, I suppose, because the dice are cast and that's your fate. You can't control your fate in the game. It's just a mystery dungeon game. The game plays very well. I like it. It's extremely hard. It is not forgiving at all. I didn't realize it was a rogue mystery. So I was getting into it. You got this little cute little ferret running around because Shiren doesn't actually talk like the little ferret does. And he has this little picture and he's cute. And he's the narrator. And then you go into the mystery dungeon and it gets very complicated. There's actually a tutorial area in the first section where naturally you think I need to go to the tutorial and learn how to play this game first. And I think it was a set of 5 or 8 on the first page. And I went through all of them, and it was like, here's the next set, here's the next set. And I'm like, when does this end? It was like how to attack enemies around the corner, how to launch arrows over walls, like really specific stuff. And I think there's like 80 tutorial levels. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't. But there's like item mixing and all this crazy stuff in it. So the pixel art looks really good. The sprites are really, really nice to look at. It's just the game is so hard. Because like once you die, everything is gone. Not only are your items gone and your levels are gone, or your gold, but your levels, you can start at level 1. You don't keep any of that progression. So I'm like, what? And the only way to save anything is to put it inside of a bank. So there's a bank where you can put money, and then like a storage area where you can put items. So if you die, you can pull those out. But the only way to get back to that is if you use a teleportation scroll or escape scroll or something like that. But you can't buy one from the shop. Like, you have to find it in the dungeon. So then if you don't find one in the dungeon, you just keep going and going and going. There's a leaf, like a herb that you can eat, that if you die, you will return with your items. You won't, like, you'll still die, but you won't lose your items or something like that. So those are the only 2 ways to, like, escape the dungeon. And at first I was like, okay, I died, whatever, let's go into it again. And I got pretty far, and I could not find a single escape roll. Like, your inventory fills up so fast, and I had no room to pick anything new up. I had to keep using garbage or just, like, throw stuff away. There's items in there that are cursed, or there's items that are, like, unidentified, and you need to identify to use their abilities. Could not get a single identify scroll to use at all. None whatsoever. So it's just, like, it was frustrating, because I know what I needed to do, but, like, the RNG was so bad that I couldn't get what I needed. So I just died again, and I'm like, great. I died in the first tower, and apparently that's the easiest damn one. So I was like, I don't have the mental capacity to do this right now. I can't.
It's funny because I have the original one on Wii. That's why I was confused. I didn't realize there was like a sequel. And I remember playing it for the first time, like, dude, this is hard. And I guess there's an easy mode on the first one, which I've never messed with. But is there an easy mode on this one?
I don't remember. There's something different about the Switch re-release, and I can't remember what it is. But either this one's a sequel or a prequel to the Wii one.
Also, I feel your pain. That shit's hard.
It was I'm not unfamiliar to Mystery Dungeons. I just wasn't expecting it to be so rogue. So it was it was hard. It was hard, and I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have the mental capacity to handle something that hard at that point in time, where I was like, I can't sit down and really play this game. But the sprite work was so beautiful. It's a great looking game. It feels good to play. It's just, God, if you love punishment, this is the game for you. So.
Oh, I play Dark Souls. It's not that hard. I beat it the first time I tried.
Get good, scrub.
Obviously cut that, but...
No, we can keep that.
I like the salt.
Anyway.
GG, I meant good game.
GG, I meant good game.
One better news. What about pickups?
Picked up Wind Waker on the Wii U. I got a Hatsune Miku game. Thank you, Brian, for the Vita.
No problem.
Something called Might and Magic. Oh, yeah. Might and Magic Clash of Heroes, which I'd never seen before. It was on the DS.
It's a D&D game, right?
I don't think so. I think it was like a competitor, wasn't it? I remember the series. Ubisoft, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's D&D. I think it's styled similarly. But it's a role-playing puzzle game.
I wasn't aware of one on the DS. That's cool.
That's all I got for now. Been hoarding the cash. So, haven't really bought a lot. Nate, have you gotten any good pickups?
Yeah, we had a nice little hunting trip.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did ball out on that one.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking to. I was looking to pick up a few games that servers are getting shut down, but I stumbled into some stuff, so I think the standout of my pickups was Pokemon Stadium for $60 complete in box, and funny enough, it had the manual for Pokemon Stadium 2 in it as well, so bonus. It's not in immaculate condition, but for $60, I couldn't really pass that up.
The 10 out of 10 on the front.
That's right. Looks great on the shelf. Not complaining.
It's always nice
and it also had a note.
I don't remember what it said, but yeah.
I don't remember what it said, but it was like
it was like a love letter. Remember?
It wasn't like a love letter, but
it was like a somebody and somebody forever.
You know those. You know, like when you were in grade school, you were like, I don't know, some person's Brian and Brian. It was like Brian plus Nate forever, heart. But it was, the funny part about it is it was the person's name. It was their full name, right? First, middle, and last name. And then it was like plus the other person, but it was first name _ blank space last name because they didn't know the other person's middle
Question
name.
mark in the middle of it. Yeah.
It was so funny.
They were in love, though. It was a bittersweet moment.
I'm sure they're still halfway together.
Human history. I found some steelbooks, too. I got the Just Cause 4 Day 1 edition. It was really cheap, so I picked that up. An interesting one I found was Shining Renaissance Refrain on Xbox One. It was a steelbook. I had never seen this packaging for it before. It's not a normal size, and there's like a plastic, what do you call it?
Slip case, kind of?
Almost like a dust jacket, but it's really big. It's a weird, hard to describe packaging for it, but it's really cool. That was a nice find. I didn't really expect it. And I just got some random stuff like the Mummy on DS. It was like $4 complete. I'm a big Universal Monsters fan, so... And I picked up Halo 2 on PC because you can still play the single player for achievements because I'm a masochist and I'm trying to boot up Windows Live games. So, but yeah, as far as playing, I did go through a visual novel recently called Her Story.
I've heard about that.
So it's pretty like critically praised for the story, but brief description of the actual game is you basically open up a police computer and they're like, you need to piece together the story. We did four interrogations of this woman and her missing husband, but the files are all messed up. So you have to search keywords to pull up certain videos that are correlated to the keywords to piece together the whole story. So you're constantly watching like interrogation video out of order, and you can pull up the same one multiple times, but thankfully it tells you if you've already watched it or not. There's basically a percentage bar of once you watch every video, you piece the whole story together. It was high concept. I enjoyed the concept. Execution left me a little to be desired. It's originally released on mobile. I played it on Windows. That might have had something to do with it, because I just sat there and went through it instead of kind of playing it piece by piece while I'm waiting in a lobby or something. Probably what it was originally intended for. It was pretty brisk. It was FMV game, which I have a soft spot for FMV games because they universally get shat on, so I kind of enjoy them. Kind of topical for this episode. But it was all right. There's nothing to like write home. I think it's got really high praise for what it was. I've played better visual novels, but it was acceptable. And Brian kind of touched on it. We've been grinding on Ubisoft server closers. It's about to be done with that, so nothing too much more to report. I'm about to go through Myst, the remake, so more point and click in my life. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Brian, you want to lead us off? What's the first game you got for us?
So we're starting off with Darkest of Days. This is a pretty ridiculously just wild, unique game. Specifically the Xbox 360 version. It's sitting at a whopping 44% on Metacritic, which, my humble opinion, obviously it's on this list. I have a soft spot for it. I think that's a little harsh. Not going to sit here and say it's, 10 out of 10, but I've played better and worse first-person shooters. It was developed by 8 Monkey Labs. Everyone's well aware of their work, right?
No.
Right? No? Yeah.
They even have a Wikipedia page.
Yes, they're so small they don't have a Wikipedia page.
Okay.
Also, it was published by Phantom X and Valmont Games, who also don't have a Wikipedia page. Released September 10th in 2009. So to go over the story for this game, you're basically a U.S. soldier at the Battle of Little Bighorn, right? And the natives are swarming you in a circle on top of the hill. You see General Custer get an arrow through the heart. And out of nowhere, right before you're getting ready to die, a portal opens up, and there's the most stereotype Sarge, in quotations, with a cigar in the mouth, chomping with a cowboy hat you've ever seen in your life. And every other word's the F-bomb. And he's like, "We need to get you the fuck out of here, motherfucker." It's ridiculous. So he basically takes you through the portal. He's like, "Come with me if you want to live," but more F-bombs. You go through this portal, you're in the future, I guess. And he explains to you that basically they work for like the time police, and there's somebody who's manipulating it. So to fix it, they cause an issue by pulling you out. But the way they ingeniously write themselves out of that plot hole is that, like, you're the perfect candidate for it because you were MIA.
So basically the plot of the new Loki show
Yeah.
just stole the plot from this.
Yeah,
A
dude.
little time cop sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Dang, okay.
So, yeah.
All right, Marvel, I see you. I see you.
Somebody at Marvel played some Darkest of Days. So it's never outright said that old Sarge here, I can't remember, Dexter is his name, Dexter. It's never outright said where Dexter's from, but it's very, very...
Laboratory? He's from Dexter's Laboratory?
You beat me to it.
Grown up with the F-bombs. No, it's very heavily implied that he's an MIA from 9/11. You know, the famous battle of 9/11, so he's combat trained and everything.
What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean he's MIA from 9/11?
It's very heavily implied. They never straight out say it, but like he's a...
Desert Storm or 9/11?
Oh, like 9/11. Like Two Towers. You remember the Battle of New York?
The Battle of New York.
So he's combat trained and everything. Anyways.
Wow.
So basically, you got to go through the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Plains Indian War. The final level is Pompeii, you know, because remember that battle also. But it's pretty cool. There's like a volcano going off, and you're just...
Did Pompeii even have a battle going on during the volcano?
Negative.
Oh.
But in this game, there's a rival faction that's like manipulating time that you're trying to stop. And
I guess the time ripples caused it.
Yeah,
okay.
It's wild, man.
Forgive me.
Don't think too much. The stories... But basically, the big twist in the game, after the Battle of Pompeii, the founder of, like, your dream cop police, whatever the fuck it is missing. But really, the twist in the final game's, like, the opposing force, it's really the founder running it because you're the bad guy the whole time, but you were trying to do right. So, like, the big M. Night Shyamalan ending is, like, Dexter looks at you, like, well, we're fucked now, pal. What do we do? What do you want to do? It's, like, sequel bait set up. Yeah, so the story's great. Like, it's interesting concept, right? I think the whole traveling back in time is interesting because you're using, like, modern weapons, which is the fun part of the game. Like, I forgot to mention that. That's what sets us apart. Like, yeah, you do have to use, you know, time-specific weapons, and it's whatever.
No, didn't you say that the whole point of this little team thing was, like, you can't do anything in the past that's going to cause a change in the future?
Which is hilarious.
And then he rolls up into, like, World War I with, like, a Tommy gun or something.
Like,
I don't know.
As soon as shit starts hitting the fan, he's
M16.
like, here, take this. And it's literally, like, 120 rounds, you know, bullpup with, like, a laser sight and a freaking red dot just mowing shit down.
In, like, the 1800s or something crazy.
Literally, yeah, so the ultimate example of this is Pompeii when the legionaries put a shield, like, there's 6 of them or 8 of them, I don't remember. They try blocking your path with, like, the shield, you know, like 300 style or whatever. And Dexter's like, we're fucked now, pal. What are we going to do? And pulls out the microwave gun. So you're just, like, literally microwaving these Roman centurions.
It's like a ray gun?
Yeah, it's like literally a microwave gun. It, like, melts them. Like, just whomp. Yeah, it's great.
Hit him with a phaser.
So that's why this game's fun, man. It's, like, literally the ultimate, like, power fantasy where it's, like, you're just getting overrun. And it's like, well, let's just, you know... I'm sure everybody in history class boiled their minds like, oh, that would have changed if just one guy would have had an M16 or whatever. Like, it's amplified to a million in this. We're talking smart guns, and it's so fun, man. The graphics, not great. Pretty horrible, honestly. There are some decent animations, though. Like, the reloading animations are really unique to, like, each weapon. It's funny, though, like, when you have, you know, a Civil War black powder revolver, and you're sitting there taking forever to load this thing, and then it's like, oh, shit's hit the fan. Let's get the, you know, automatic machine gun out that reloads in 0.3 seconds. It's probably, 5 hours? I think you can beat everything, get all the achievements in 5 hours. Like, it's not something you need to sit there and spend a significant amount of time with. It's a good time killer. Again, it's not going to reinvent the wheel, but good, clean fun, man. Just ridiculous, over-the-top, stupid fun. I want to close with a eloquently spoken quote. Destructoid's review of this game.
Oh, Destructoid.
And I think it's a little harsh, but I think it's the majority of the world's opinion on this game. They gave it a 10 out of 100. And
so 1 out of 10.
And said,
I'm not even going to go into it, all right?
It's a good quote, though. You ready?
Yep.
Darkest of Days is the worst first-person shooter of this generation.
This generation.
That's the review.
Only.
I think that's a little harsh. I'm not going to sit here and say it's great, but I would say you can find this game for cheap, too. It's not expensive. Like, give it a shot if you want something to laugh at. Go look up YouTube videos. It's kind of starting to become like a cult game because of how unique and how weird it is. I think it's like literally $4 on Steam.
It's not one I see a lot out in the wild.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what the print run. I mean, it's a pretty small studio, so I can't imagine it's super high.
You're probably the only people that bought this game the day it came out.
I bought it new from Best Buy because I was like,
I've
this looks
seen
wild,
it before.
bro.
It's just not one of those like common titles that you see that have like a 5-6 stack.
Yeah. I'd say it's worth a shot, man. Check it out. There's nothing like it. It's super. The concept's great. I mean, really, imagine if they released like a polished version of this. Like, imagine if Call of Duty was like, we're going to do Call of Duty in time. Like,
bro, can you...
Interesting concept.
Could you imagine if Call of Duty went time travel?
I mean...
I might actually play it.
Yeah. It's super unique, and then that's the thing. They can use all the different weapons, the set piece. Call of Duty is like known for their set pieces. Like, imagine how they could do a Battle of Little Bighorn with a set piece. That'd be awesome.
Battle of Pompeii.
Yeah, or the legendary Battle of 9/11. But yeah, good time. Check it out, guys. Darkest of Days. What about you, Barry?
All right, my first game is going to be Digimon World Championship for the Nintendo DS. Released in 2008, published by Namco. Goes for about $40 to $60 complete. It has a Metacritic score of 49 out of 100 and a user score of 6.8. So clearly the users think it's a little bit better. It is a simulation title which focuses on virtual pet raising, caretaking, training, and battling with no RPG or world exploration elements. It varies from other Digimon games released because the player doesn't give commands in a fight. The Digimon just kind of choose their attacks themselves, so they kind of walk around into a little arena-style stage. I think you can drop 3 of them in at one time, and basically how they perform is it reflects how you've been raising them in a specific way. It also requires that you feed them, heal them, clean up after them, like every other Digimon pet sim. Is you look away from the Digimon for 4 seconds, and next thing you know, the entire screen is just full of piles of poop, but that's just how it goes. Here's a quote from IGN. I don't know, I don't have written down what they gave it, but it says, quote, "Hey, we took your franchise and murdered it. Here, play with the corpses, kids. Digimon World," end quote, excuse me. "Digimon World Championship apparently doesn't actually want you to play it, which would explain why it does all its gameplay itself. Maybe it thinks you're stupid and just decided all you can be trusted to do is moving Digimon from cage to cage. This is just an insult to Digimon fans. Now, this is how I know you are not a Digimon fan. You're projecting. Alright, you are a Pokemon fan. Nobody plays Digimon for the story. Nobody,
Think about the origins, man. It started out as a fucking Tamagotchi.
That's the thing, is Digimon is a pet simulation, Tamagotchi style game. It is not a Pokemon clone where you go out in the wild and you catch them in a little ball and you fight them. It's not what Digimon is. I'm tired of it getting compared to that. It is a pet simulation game to its core. Literally has little Tamagotchi thing. I have some. They're hard as shit because all the Digimon do is shit everywhere.
All the poop.
Okay?
That's too. They just
constantly.
Poop.
And then they just poop so much, and if you don't clean it up within 4 seconds, it gets sick and it dies. Alright? And the original ones is you could not put the Tamagotchi to sleep. You could not. You would have your Digimon Digivice, and you cleaned up, and you're fed him, and you walk away for your 20 minutes to eat lunch, and next thing you know, your Digimon's ugh, its health is almost dead. It's just poop everywhere. It's Digimon Tamagotchis. Gotta love them though. But yeah, it's basically a pet Tamagotchi sim, and people expect it to be like Pokemon just because of stipulation. I know if you didn't like this game because of that reason, you never played Digimon World as a kid. Because the first Digimon game that came out was Digimon World in PS1, and you did not control the Digimon. He followed you around. You explored the map, which this doesn't have map exploration, which is fine. But you took him around and you fed him and you exercised him with various exercises to increase certain stats because you needed certain stats to get different Digi-evolutions. And then once you got in a fight, your Digimon would go in there and just run around and hit him or use a super attack, and all you could do on the outside was cheer him on. And so your Digimon's performance was based on how you took care of them. And if you basically can't min-max the game, you're not going to get anything good out of it. And people want something easy where they're just I want to choose the attack. Me, then go play Pokemon. All right. Stay away from Digimon. If you don't like that playstyle, like it's just not how it's going to be. The new games are kind of going away from that. At least with Cyber Sleuth and Survive that came out too, there's not really so much of a raising aspect. There is a little bit, but nothing like Digimon World. Nothing at all. Digimon World, at this point, that line is basically for Pet Sim, and then anything that's not on the World line is kind of more of like an RPG. So if you're getting anything that's Digimon World, you're expecting a pet simulator, not anything else. So for this game to get so harshly criticized for just being the core of what the series is about is like, that's insulting to a Digimon fan. So
it's unfortunate. Like, Digimon's always kind of had to fight the stigma of a Pokemon knockoff, and it's completely different. And there's very good merits that people are missing out Digimon because they're like, oh, just a cheap Pokemon knockoff. Like, it's so much more than that.
And I'll say this, I don't have a ton of experience with Digimon games. Digimon World as a child was like, a banger on PlayStation for me. But I know the Digimon DX games are like pretty beloved. And for this one, just to get shit on so much, it's weird for even the user reviews aren't great.
It's interesting because there's two other DS ones, and they kind of did the Pokemon style where it's Digimon World Dawn and Digimon World Dusk. I haven't actually played those ones. I only own one of them. But I think those are a little bit different than the World Championship. Gotcha. And the World Championship is like, your whole point is you need to go into this championship with your Digimon, get them up to that point. Only happens once a year. So if you miss that mark, you suck. I think the other ones are a little bit different.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know like the user reviews are really high on the other ones, and it's weird because like you're saying that as far as like pure traditional Digimon, this is the most faithful of the bunch for DS. That's what it seems. I watched gameplay for it, and I'm like, this game looks cool. Like, this looks up my alley.
The one thing it does, and I really liked this game when I was playing it. Here's the thing, though, is there's not a single Digimon game out there that is good. There's not a single one out there. All right, even the ones that you're referencing, it looks like they're at a 68 and a 69. Like, there are no numbers in the green in comparison. Digimon just doesn't have any good games. It's the same as Godzilla, okay? We're never going to get a good one at this point. I mean, Survive was really good. Cyber Sleuth was really good, but the problem is like, we can never really get what we want, and we never will. We kind of have to settle for it. That's just kind of the world of Digimon. What we want, we'll never get. We want a very, very specific thing. Very, very specific. And not everyone can agree on that. So that's why we're never going to get it. Some people want the pet sim. Some people want the RPG. Some people want the Pokemon collecting style, monster collecting. I just want to raise little Digimon in a thingy and have a house, and give me Sims Digimon mod.
That'd be cool.
No, but this game, the one criticism that I absolutely agree with is there is no Digimon encyclopedia. So there is no way for you to track evolutions at all. Normally in the other games, if there are an evolution aspect, it'll show a tree. So it'll show you, here's the first one, it can go off into these three, and then those can go off into these, and then you unlock them as you go. There's no way to track that in this game, and there's no way to really see what's next or how many you're missing, so you do have to consult like a guide if you really want something specific. And that's super lacking, especially for a pet sim raising game. To do evolutions, you need an encyclopedia. So that was extremely big oversight. But other than that, I think the criticisms it gets are unwarranted. Clearly, people who think that are not actual Digimon fans. I mean, it has their problems, but for the most part, I mean, especially if you go on YouTube videos and reviews about it, the comments are like, I don't know what you're talking about, I like this game.
Unfortunately, it's kind of going to be a common theme that we see with some of these is people project what they think it should be instead of what it actually is, and it gets used against it critically.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Digimon, even more than just this game specifically, kind of as a franchise, kind of gets that magnifying glass burn to it all the time, and y'all are missing out. Digimon's awesome, so...
Nate, tell me about this stacco of a game of yours.
The next Jekken game we're going to talk about, it's one that we all three have like significant playtime into. It's Defiance.
Hell yeah.
It's a third-person shooter with the dressings of an MMO around it. So it was developed by Tryon Worlds. They also published it because it was their own game. The only thing you'd probably know them for other than this is Trove. It's kind of the next biggest one. They mainly do MMO games, online-only games. This one's release is kind of complicated because initially it came out on PC, 360, and PS3. There was a later rendition for next-gen consoles, PS4, Xbox One, PC, that was Defiance 2050. You got to include them both together because it's literally the same game. They're not very well received. The first one, the 360 PS3 era one, was a little better received, about a 60 on Metacritic if you average the PC, Xbox, and PS3 version. The Defiance 2050's average is at a 40, so it's significantly less well received. But you have to mention with this game, Defiance, that it coincided with a TV show that was on Sci-Fi at the time.
It's very good, I thought.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I haven't actually finished the show. I've watched episodes of it when it was new, because we were playing this game when it came out, Brian and I were, and it was kind of a big deal for us because it was MMO on a console. It had a pretty active community, so we dabbled and checked it out. We had friends that are playing it. We had like clans and stuff, and so it's fun that we get to talk about a game we all experienced. There's alien refugees that showed up. Their ships were kind of hovering around Earth. Their intention was like, oh, this planet's perfectly like we can terraform this planet and we get to stay here. Come to find out, Earth's actually populated. So humans being humans kind of freak out and like, oh my God, what do we do? So ends up starting a whole war. They start blowing up the ships that are orbiting Earth. Terraforming technology goes off, starts blowing up random parts of Earth. Totally changes the landscape of politics, regions, everything. So it's kind of like the Wild West, and people are trying to just kind of find their way after. The game specifically, you're a mercenary working for... He's basically the Tony Stark of this universe, where he's a weapons manufacturer, but he's kind of like a rock star too. He's kind of like Dr. Death, so he's trying to weaponize the Arcfall technology, and you're like one of his stooges working for him doing your missions, and that's the basic layout of the game. The interesting thing was the game would evolve with the show, so there was like a weekly mission they would add that coincided with the episode that debuted that week. So for the show lasted for 3 seasons, for 3 solid years, we got new content very frequently, and there was world events, just your standard MMO stuff. But this game was a third-person shooter more than MMO, so it kind of set it apart. It was very action-heavy, but we're going to sit here and reminisce for a minute, because this game, like, we all have really good memories of playing this game. We knew it was shutting down. We kind of dabbled in it together just to kind of go through memory lane again.
Barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah.
With what little you could do.
Right. It was pretty
So
janky
broken.
by then. Yeah. They stopped doing maintenance because they knew they were closing it. But it almost added to it because it felt very Defiance-y. So
I was going to say an already slightly lovably janky game just got like horribly broken and so janked to the point that you couldn't even just, with the already crazy driving physics amplified to 1,000,000.
I'm surprised the server page even would load to even get in. And I feel like I remember sitting on that for a while because it would just like try to connect. And then when you finally connected, your ping was like so damn fucking high because it couldn't handle anything and it couldn't load anything fast enough. So you were just kind of flying around in Wonder Woman's invisible starship. It was amazing.
yeah, some of the things we all loved about this game was like, let's start with the dialogue. You guys were probably confused when we were talking about Stocko and Jack, but like they have like a verbiage in this world that it's funny because they end up cussing anyways, but they're like the masquerade cursing. They would just have their own like alien slang, so they'd be like, what the Jack, or holy Stocko, but the dialogue in general was very like funny, kind of lighthearted. Like there's some really cringy stuff.
And it was funny.
I know where you're going.
What was also interesting about this is like the show was kind of a big deal too on Sci-Fi, and there was an episode I think of Face Off where the contestants Face Off is kind of like a special effects prosthetics type like design show, and they would design monsters and whatnot for like shows. So one of the episodes of that, I remember watching it because I watched the show at the time and I wanted to see what was going on, but they were tasked with creating a new alien race, and then whoever won in that one, they actually put the alien in the show. So it was really cool to watch that and then like go to the show and see like what they did with the alien, and I think they put him in the game too.
They did, yeah. It was like they actually had like season 4 of Defiance was, the show was already canceled, but they did it in the game, and it was like they were invading. It was actually really cool when they did that. But yeah, besides the crazy dialogue, we'll talk about the physics. It didn't feel out of place. The driving, however,
Oof.
My favorite part, I'll just throw it out there.
So the vehicle, you start off with like an ATV, but you could like it's MMO, so it's basically like your version equivalent of mounts. So like the vehicles were a thing, but they had a promotion with Dodge and like the Charger, right?
Dude, I got one.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah,
You were hot shit if you got the Challenger or Charger. I don't remember which one it was.
It was a Challenger because I remember feeling it was like Dukes of Hazzard.
Yep.
Orange
even, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I got, I don't remember how you got that, but I think it was through a quest or something. You had to kind of grind for it a little bit. And I remember when I got that, I was like, I'm so fucking badass. And I took it over to a lake. Like there was a pond or a lake or something, and I parked that bitch on the side. And I stood out there. I was like checking it out. I was like, ooh, this fucking car is spicy. I was like, I'm hot shit flying through the skies.
Yeah.
So like all the vehicles have a boost, and it's semi-ridiculous how much you can boost your car before it runs out.
Oh, and that was the best part is like, once you got that orange Challenger, it was like stunting on people, like boosting through the air.
Yeah.
And you'd show up to raids and all these like cars would be there, and then you'd swoop in with it, especially if you got it early before everybody else did. It was a good feeling.
Yeah, you'd hit it like basically nothing was off limits until you could like ramp off. So you could think of like, oh God.
It's like Skyrim, man.
That's
like
what I was going to say. Think of like a horse going up a mountain in Skyrim, except a Dodge Challenger going 200 miles an hour with turbo. Yeah, so the world events were really fun in this game, and it was just kind of a marvel to see the player count, and it would get a little choppy when there was like 75 people going for one world boss, but it was still playable. It's super impressive how they crossed over with the TV show, and it functioned as a natural partner to it instead of like a leeching onto the TV show. It felt very natural, like part of the same universe. It was really ambitious, and I just want to give kudos to that. There's nothing that's really like it even now. Nothing would even like try. I feel like this game was a little ahead of its time in a lot of ways, but the actual gameplay was why I believe it kind of reviewed poorly. Yeah, I think people just set the bar too high for this one. But it's just kind of a testament. People were passionate about this game, and watching like the world chat as it was dying was like heartbreaking. I don't dabble with MMOs a whole lot, so I don't really experience a lot of like, usually if server closes, me and Brian are trying to get the achievements of like we get in, get out. I never had a game I started from the beginning and like watched it die, so it was kind of like a weird experience watching it die. So everyone logging in, like letting it go to black. It's morbid, but like it's weird because some people on there, like that was their game. You know what I'm saying? They put like they were there since day one. Had like the whole world chat knew who that person was, and you're just watching them like all say goodbye to each other. I was like, this is morbid. This is sad.
Yeah. Not everybody can have a second chance like Final Fantasy did, which sucks because, like I said, once it's gone, it's gone. And, like, it hurts to be like, hey, server's about to go dark in 10 minutes. So
I'll just wrap up almost like a funeral here for Defiance. Much like its own Arc Falls, Defiance offers treasure, but you have to battle an array of bugs before you can reap it. Pour one out for Defiance. We miss you. Brian, brighten up the mood with your next shitty game that you enjoyed.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Predator Concrete Jungle for the Xbox with a whopping 47 Metacritic rating will brighten things up. Alright, so Predator Concrete Jungle, released 25th of April 2005. It was developed by Eurocom and published by Vivendi Universal. I love the Predator franchise. Like, the original Predator is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think even like just the story of it, the concept, the action / sci-fi, like I love Predator. This game's story, however, is definitely not the highlight. Let's just cover this. It's like you start out, it's like 1930s New York City, and you're a predator, and you're like, all right, you know, I'm hunting humans, and you're going after like mobsters and, you know, Irish mafia, and you're killing them off at the beginning of the game for the tutorial, you know, and they realize like a monster is chasing him. So they basically like set up a trap to catch this predator, you know, the ultimate hunter in the whole universe, in this warehouse. And they basically like blow you up. They trap you and like they get you. Like these mafioso wise guys defeat this ultimate killing machine. They literally, the cinematic's hilarious. Like they literally just blow you up like Looney Tunes style, and like the door lands on you and you're sitting there and they're like, yeah, not so slick now, are you, predator? Yeah.
Oh my God,
like,
that's amazing.
It's great. So then after these Irish guys like start kicking you or whatever, like your predator buddies fly down in a ship and they're like, really? Like you're the most pathetic predator I've ever seen in my life. Like these primitive things beat you. Your predator buddies basically take you to this planet where your punishment's to like fight these giant space scorpions, and they give you a stick and they fly off, and they're like, "See you in 100 years if you can survive, buddy." Like, it's wild, man. So like, literally, there's a cinematic of you like poking these scorpions with a stick.
Is this accurate to Predator lore?
Some.
Okay, that answers the question.
Dark Horse comic Predator lore, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, the tone's pretty similar to the Predator comics, which is appropriate because of the writer for this magnificent story, which gets better in a worse kind of way. So after 100 years of you battling these scorpions with sticks, that your buddies pick you up and they're like, "Hey, good job. Like, you need to try to fix your failure and go back to Earth." So they drop you back on Earth, and it's 100 years in the future, you know.
Isn't your explicit goal like you have to get your armor back?
Well, that's the funny part. So like, you get back to Earth, it's 1930s, you know, it's 100 years in the future, but New York's completely transformed to Newopolis. It's a advanced civilization with like flying cars and all sorts of stuff. And you're like, how the heck did, you know, this primitive culture advance so fast? The big twist is they got your armor and your weaponry and stuff when they blew you up in the warehouse. So, yeah, they basically like, "Oh, we're running the world now because we have your gear, the Irish Mafia." And they're in a brutal street fight with, I quote, "ex-porn star hookers is the other primary rival gang," who also
Is that their in-game name?
Yes, like quotation, "ex-porn star hookers." Like, okay. The leader of the mob is like the great-granddaughter of the Irish mobster who blew you up in New York, so you obviously want to like kill her as your ultimate goal. Like, that's your revenge, right? They're the ones with all the technology, but the ex-porn star hookers also have armor, which this is a great twist. So like in games, they're running around like bikinis and stuff. It's, you know, it's early 2000s, 90s. It's all about pushing the edge and being edgy in games. But like, you kill your first one, and then she has like this like kind of like Samus Zero suit on after she dies, and you're like, literally, the Predator was like, "What the heck? She's wearing armor? Like, I thought she was, you know, scantily dressed." And the explanation is that like they literally wear like hollow suits to like be attractive.
So they changed their camouflage armor to just holographic projections of
bikinis,
near nudity.
Yes.
Hey, man.
Because that's what, you know, a gang with technology would try to be intimidating with. I don't know. Oh, the direct quote I have on my notes is "cute clothes," because that's how it's worded in the game.
Oh, cute clothes. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, why not wear the armor? But anyway,
They did.
God.
It's under the cute clothes, buddy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the third gang, it's kind of like Crackdown, where you have to go down and beat the gangs or whatever. Going through your conquest, you basically wipe the Hispanic gang, then you wipe the ex-porn star hookers. You get to the Irish mob, and the big twist is that like Mother from Alien, like the main computer, she's got like the prototype of Mother. And then like, shit you not, you're in this office, and out of nowhere, like a xenomorph drops from the ceiling, which okay. So it's like, "Oh, AVP raw server, no way." You beat the xenomorph, and then she's like, "Well, my boyfriend's, you know, been experimenting on himself, and he's like a predator hybrid man, and he's the boss." It's not a great story at all.
Sounds great. What are you talking about?
But do you know who wrote this story? Grant Morrison, like pretty prestigious comic book writer. I mean, it's goofy as shit. It feels like a comic book, but it's just funny because, you know, Grant Morrison's like beloved, but this is wild.
It's right up there. Like, it's on brand for Grant Morrison too. For every great like Batman and Robin arc, there's a you know, spirit walk. He goes on and starts writing stuff that he's conjured into the real realm.
The controls, honestly, they're not the best. Like, just to be blunt, it's like open world clunkiness. I think the climbing and stuff's cool. Like, the actual design of Newopolis is it's a pretty cool city. But even like the 1930s city, like everything was like, every open world city back then was New York. This one feels a little different. Like, there's different heights with the buildings, and
I feel like I've seen people in comments on videos of this say it was like Assassin's Creed before Assassin's Creed.
Honestly, that's a super...
Especially with the climbing.
Yeah, it was cool. It was unique. It wasn't like Spider-Man where it's like you're, you know, crawling up fast. You felt like a hunter, if that makes sense. And the gadgets were great. Like, my favorite one's a shoulder cannon. That thing was like devastating, and like literally you could like dismember them and stuff. The combat was really good, like after you got caught not stealthing. Like, it was violent. It was like visceral. You could even like...
Visceral.
Yeah, whatever. I can't talk. I don't give a shit. You can even like string up the guys and like skin them like trophies, you know, like in the movies. So it was cool, man. Like, it made you feel like a predator, You can even cloak. Like, all of Predator's gadgets were available to you. And that's one of the things I loved about the game, and one of the main reasons why I picked it. Like, it felt like you were a Predator.
Yeah, I remember playing this game as a kid and enjoying it. I think I was also of the age where like edginess was cool about it, unfortunately. But I don't quite remember it being as over the top as this. I have a copy of this. I haven't played it since it was new. I really want to go back and look at it now though, because it sounds pretty wild.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even like the gameplay of it for the open world games back then, I remember like Spider-Man 2 was the pinnacle. There's alternate suits you can get as the Predator. There's like, it just feels like Predator. Like, the best way I can describe it, even with the clunkiness and the jank and the absurdity of it, it's the closest we've got to feeling like a Predator. I'll even say it even more than the new PS4 game. Like, there's times you feel weirdly neutered in that game. This is like they unleash you, and it's cool because sometimes you don't have weapons and you get the upgrades kind of like a la Metroid style. The flow of the game is actually really good. Not like so much the story, but like how you progress and get better weaponry, like get your pieces of armor back. Like, it's not like, oh, let's train you how to use this once and you use it this one time in training. All the gadgets are there for a reason. It's great, man, as far as the gameplay goes, but the story is pretty whack. It's I just love Predator, honestly. I think the design, the character, but playing as a coward Predator is just like the weirdest, like, jarring thing. But he totally redeemed himself in the end, right? So it's really interesting with this game. The critical reviews are pretty poor. Like I said, 47% on Metacritic. User reviews are at an 8.8. Like, this game has some fanfare behind it. I think people in our age group really, really enjoyed this game because, like I said, the open world was like the thing back then. And this game's open world is actually really cool, and it holds up somewhat. I mean, obviously there's better ones nowadays, but putting it into perspective for the time it was released, I mean, yeah, there's bigger ones out there, but this one feels lived in. Like, I remember you could go down to the street level and, like, the pedestrians would run from you, cars would stop and be like, oh crap, there's this giant monster in the street.
Well, okay.
It feels lived in,
And you see it consistently, especially on Metacritic or a website that does comparable user reviews. It's like every single quote-unquote news review outlet is trying to review everything at AAA level, game of the year, whatever. And, like, that's not realistic. User reviews are realistic because it's people who are like, I like this game. I know what I'm looking for. I know what this is about. I'm not... That's
why we're here defending these games' honor.
Here's the thing. Right. And, like, okay, so for comparison, this year, 2022, we got Elden Ring as such an early release, and there are people out there who are just like, nothing's going to compare to this game whatsoever. I don't care what else comes out this year. This is game of the year. And, like, they're not even going to give any credit towards any other game coming out at all because they're like, Elden Ring. Okay? That's not the point. Like, the comparative to what's better and what's good is just making, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the review thing.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because...
Especially in number one that a lot of people's jobs rely on.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Your job's to sit there and, quote, review or critically critique this thing case-by-case basis, and to sit there and automatically compare it to something else, I think is just ridiculous.
In the development industry, there's a lot of people's bonuses and stuff that are based on what it reviews with.
I think they're starting to get away from that, especially with, like, the wildfire that was...
Cyberpunk.
No, earlier than that. Was it? Oh, I can't remember it now, but there was a point in time, and I don't know what game it was, but I think it was 360 and PS3 era, where there was a game that the developers were like, you need to get at least, I don't know, an 80 on it to get your bonus. And I think someone got paid out to review it higher just so it would score well.
Kane and Lynch 2 had like a really controversial...
What was it?
Kane and Lynch 2.
Kane and Lynch?
Like a very controversial... I don't know if this is the one you're specifically referring to, but it had like... I know there was bonuses of all of that, and I know GameSpot specifically was under fire because they gave it like a 9 or something crazy, like way high, and it found out because they were like funding the review. But that's the thing; it gets so
that might be kind of what I'm thinking
messy.
Of. Then,
like,
yeah,
you advertise on all these sites for these games, so it's like, hey, I'm supposed to give an unbiased review, but they're paying for our revenue right now.
Well,
there's people that it's just so messy.
I can go back to the craziest one I can recall is Remember Driver 3?
Yeah.
So like basically, I want to say it was GameSpot. Driver 3 had so much fanfare behind it because it was like open world and it was supposed to be the GTA killer. and they were literally like, we'll let you review it, have an exclusive review first if you give it a 9 or higher. So like the game releases, GameStop's like, 2 weeks before it comes out. It's like, GameSpot.
Or even in the
GameStop.
opposite, I don't remember which one it was, but there was another one where their reviews were based on a certain score, and the reviews came back an average score of 1 point lower than like what the developers needed to get their bonuses.
The funny thing with Driver, though, like the game release, and it was a broken, buggy mess. Like everybody else is giving it like 2s and 3s, literally. And then here's GameSpot with a freaking 9. Like the whole industry is shady, man. Like,
sorry, that was just a tangent.
But it's topical.
It's relevant.
There's some of these games that were, the flip side of that. They weren't involved in the money trail or whatever, and they were like kind of bombed for it. So it's.
And I think that's kind of a big point on this episode specifically too. Is like we're talking about we specifically picked games that hit a Metacritic score of 50 or lower for this very reason, and I'm pretty sure all of the games I have picked have higher user scores. I'm not sure about you two.
I think so.
I have one that's like barely higher.
Okay, I think it might have been one of yours that was barely, but
I have one that's lower actually.
pretty much every single game, unless it's being purposely bombed, like, for example, I think Gran Turismo, that happened recently for better or worse reasons. But you're probably, for 90% of the time, you're going to get a higher review, a user review score than a critical magazine's score, and that's just kind of the politics of it, and I don't look into it for that very reason. So just take what you see on IGN with a grain of salt for good reasons, like
Too much water.
too much water, insult to Digimon fans, I guess, whatever. But anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's a good point. It's a good talking point. It's, finding people that actually play games to play games. People you trust, get their opinion.
Yeah, for me, when I see a review, I kind of just look over it to kind of get a general idea of what I'm getting into, not so much as like an overall score, but like especially when they break down, like if it's a gameplay where it's a CGI trailer is all I saw, just to see what kind of game it is. It's I don't really go off Metacritic as my god whether I'm going to buy a game or not. 'Cause at the end of the day, I'm probably going to buy it on sale anyway.
I mean, if it, like, in my perspective, when I I look for games that look interesting to me. If I'm not sure about it, I'll try and go on, YouTube and just see someone who uploads a review. But the second I can taste any sort of bias one way or the other, I'm off. I don't care.
It's like nowadays there's so much because everyone's so like tribalistic over console wars or like whatever. It's like I don't even look at numbers anymore.
Like, to me, if you can't, I don't really take what you have to say about something that you love so much if you can't be critical about it at the same time.
Yeah.
So if, like, this is so hard to explain sometimes, but like my favorite game of all time, like I still have criticisms about it.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell people what I think about it and still be like, I still love it. But like, I don't know, when you watch a video and hear someone talk about something, you can taste it in the air. Can taste it in your ear holes, and that bias where I'm like, I don't really think you care about this game at all. You're just going to say what you're going to say and not even think critically on it at all. So maybe that's probably just too much to add to this. I don't know. I mean, that's what we do on this podcast, though.
Well,
and there's like tons of things that we talk about that I don't really care about, but I at least try and give it an unbiased view.
Exactly.
Like Roller Rose. I hate horror games. I'm sorry, but I really tried on that one.
I love horror games, and I really tried on that one. So
Yeah, so Barry, what's your pick for your other game?
Next up, we have Magus. I've heard it both ways. It's Magus.
Oh, good. I thought you were just giving me shit. Okay.
No, it's.
I'm picking Magus.
I've watched some YouTube videos that say Magus, and it just seems weird to me. But it's Magus. It is a PS3 exclusive, put out by Axis in 2014. Currently, as of now, it's about $60 to $70 complete. This is one of those where it's slightly better, but it's not much. It has a Metacritic score of 32 and a user score of 4.5.
Ooh.
Which is probably pretty accurate. I'm gonna start with a quote from the game itself, not from a reviewer, but a quote from the game itself, just to give you a taste. Keep it up, laughing boy. You won't be so jovial when I'm butchering you alive and feeding your arms and legs to my unicorns. Boss dialogue. All right.
Oh, man.
Magus is a loosely RPG, third person, almost shooter. It's basically a shooter.
It's like a shmup.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But it is this guy Magus. He looks like any generic bald white man that you've ever seen before. I don't think he has hair. Maybe he does.
Bald boy.
I don't think you can edit this one's character appearance. But he's imprisoned in a tower in the Waterfall Kingdom and tortured for years. He remains handcuffed, imprisoned, immovable, clueless, and powerless for years until a new prisoner named Kinna arrives and forces him to escape.
I love how that's worded.
Forces him to escape. Once Magus has escaped, their journey to discover Magus's true identity and abilities begin. Along the way, they must face the wrath of the Kingdom Waterfall and battle them in order to discover Magus's purpose. This game, basically this chick comes in and she's like, hey, you're basically God. You need to break out of here and become God in your godlyhood. And Magus is like, what? She's like, I don't care if you want to stay in here or not, you're leaving. It's just...
I like it here.
so weird. But like, so the gameplay of this game is honestly all you have to do, and this is why I call it a shooter, is there's 3 types of magic. Don't even remember what elements they are because I don't even think it mattered like whatsoever when you play this game. But you could shoot like little magic fireballs almost. I think there was wind, fire, electricity, or something like that. I just remember
like blue, red, green. Like
yeah, I just used the
totally Mass
electricity
Effect
one
3
because
type
the
of
effects
shit.
were cooler. Like that's the only reason. But you basically could just hold the button and it would just shoot out like auto fire. No single shot, man. That boy's not on burst. It's just full auto. Okay. So all you had to do was just run into a circle and spam the attack button. And I wrote down, listen to the horrible voice death cries of, ah, they're pretty bad. The enemies spawn into a room and they just run at you, but they're so weak that like 2 fireballs will just mow them down, and these things are going at like the speed of light anyway, so you just aim in their direction and they're already dead, but it hits you with so many waves, and it's pretty quick. It's not like slow clunky, it's like fast paced. So I'll just run around the circle in a room and do some laps, and just any doorway I would just hold that button and aim. That was all you did. It was easy. I lost my spot. It's pretty fast paced. Like I said, the controls are pretty awful. But I mean, all you got to do is point in a direction and hold that fire button, and you are good. You can collect armor and items, but not weapons, because your magic is your weapon. You can break old items down to use for later materials to buff permanent stats, which I thought that was really interesting because, like, normally in kind of low budget games like this, when you get equipment, like once it's done, it's done. Like you can't do anything except sell it. But there isn't really a store system in this or a market system in this at all because you're escaping a prison tower. There's no random trader that's like hanging out outside gonna be like, I found all this crap on the floor and have like legendary weapons. So I looks like their solution of this was to break it down to materials, but I find that the materials can permanently boost your stats is super interesting. I don't particularly think of any other RPG that does something like that. So that was interesting, and it does have a decent, if not simple, skill tree. It's a very easy platinum trophy if you're into the trophies. But yeah, it's pretty awful. The graphics are not great. The voice acting is pretty bad. I think it's maybe like a 6 to 8 hour game, if that. The stages aren't great. It's bare bones. There's one, I remember it's pretty broken. There's one trophy where it was like, I don't know, like kill like 500 enemies. That thing you can get in like 20 minutes, especially once you get to one part of the game where you can go into like this transitional area, and I think it's a snow area, and as soon as you enter, just these people just go, ooh, and just come at you, so you can just mow them all down, then leave, and then reload back in. Kill them all over and over, and it just counts as kills. So this game is very fun to play and laugh at. It's not good, but I enjoyed it. It's like that level of bad that's really fun to just sit down and be like, ha, this is so stupid, but like still have a good time with it and not feel frustrated. So
yeah, it's one that's been on my radar ever since you kind of picked up your copy and were like, do you know about this? I was like, not really. I know it's a thing, but then like I saw what it was. It's like, this is on my list. Like, I need this game. This looks so up my alley.
And I was not expecting it to be like a shooter.
No.
At all. So when that was the most confusing thing when I loaded the game for the first time. I was expecting budget Skyrim, okay? Like pick up a rusty sword and get a battered broken shield and like fight some skeletons in a dungeon. No, fireball, Tommy gun attack, I guess. And it's okay, like the movement is fast. It's surprisingly fast. I think it's a lot faster than you probably realize it is until you start playing it and you're like, whoa, this is Sonic the Hedgehog.
I'll say it's definitely super unique. I can't think of any other like quote shooters where there's like light RPG elements attached to it. And the dialogue this looks so up my alley, honestly. Like it's exclusive. I'm a sucker for light RPG elements. Like the dialogue looks awesome. It's a pretty unique game, honestly.
The dialogue is pretty awful. I'll end with my quote. I don't have this written down on who did this quote, so I am sorry in advance. It is some kind of media outlet, but in much the same way, Magus' myriad failings play off of each other brilliantly, turning what could have been a train wreck into a roller coaster of incredible organic hilarity. It is a perfect storm of terrible ideas and botched execution, endlessly enjoyable in spite of itself. Were you to play it with your friends, perhaps as part of some raucous drinking game, the laughter might well kill you before the alcohol. Like Birdemic or The Room, Magus is so terrible that it can only be called a masterpiece. The critic in me is forced to give it our lowest score possible, but that comes with my highest possible recommendation. In many ways, being a third-person shooter, you can target things. That's a really horrible transition, I'm sorry. Nate, what's your next game?
What else is terrible?
Yeah, what else is a terrible target?
Next game I selected for today's episode is Target Terror for the Wii. This one's currently sitting at a 33 on Metacritic, and this is the only game I think we picked where the user score is actually worse. It's sitting at a 3. So
A 3?
3.0. So 33 and 3 was slightly less.
I was like a 3 out of a 100.
No. All right, so this was an arcade port. Now, the arcade game was developed by Raw Thrills. They are the name in like modern arcades. So if you've played the Halo, Fireteam Raven, Big Buck Hunter, they're like legends of the arcade industry. The Wii version of this game, however, which is the only console version, was made by Leviathan Games. It's classic. They don't even have a Wikipedia page. I cannot find any information of anything else they've ever done. But wonderfully so, of the times when this came out, it was published by Konami, which I just find hilarious because people forget how much in the gutter Konami was in. And yeah, from gutter to garbage can, but another topic. All right, so the story is not going to be much because it's a light gun shooter. So like you're killing terrorists. That's the story. You're super cop and you got to go kill all the terrorists. It's a light gun game. So like I said, the story is not the driving force. The gameplay, the feel of it, that's the driving force for this game. What makes this one special, stand out, it is styled like a 90s arcade shooter. It uses what do you call it? Like photo. It uses like photo, like Mortal Kombat and shit. What's that shit called?
What are you talking about?
The graphics. So it's like they're not like video game. It's like
superimposed.
It's like shot footage. Like Mortal Kombat, they didn't use like character models. They filmed somebody and overlaid it.
I think it's superimposed, right?
Yeah. So the graphic style in this game is what makes it stand out. It's actually superimposed imagery. It's not 3D modeled. It's like Mortal Kombat when they modeled the actors or actual like photo and animated those photos and moved it. So,
like what's that bandit cowboy shooter?
Yeah, it's like Mad Dog. Or, many other games. Like this one feels very much like the Aerosmith arcade game if you ever played that, Revolution X, where it's photo superimposed. It looks dated, but it came out with the Wii, like I said, so it's got the 90s nostalgia. What also separates this game, it does not take itself serious whatsoever. It's full of cheese on purpose. It's like testosterone cheese is how I describe this game.
Oh, wow.
You're saying, yeah.
Man cheese?
No. Not man
Cheese of testosterone.
Like, it's super corny and over the top. Like, you've got to save America because the terrorists are here. And the stages are super goofy. Like, there's iconic moments from this game. Like, you're clearing out a bathroom and you kick open a stall and there's a guy taking a dump on there and you blast him. It's just goofy stuff. The other gameplay mechanic that separates this from other light gun shooters is there's like mini games in between each stage. These are turned up to 11, and as far as goofiness goes, the very first one is there's a ski mask wearing terrorist throwing turkeys with dynamite stuck in them at you, and you have to shoot them out as he's throwing them to you, like as they're coming towards you. We're talking that level of insanity. My personal favorite is it's a golf driving range, and there's like a ski mask.
I was just thinking of that one.
There's ski mask terrorists driving a golf cart, and you have to like swing like bombs that hit them as they're like driving through the course. It's so goofy, but it's so much fun. It's a blast, no pun intended. The death animations, I will give a special shout out to those because like I said, someone had to sit there and act this out. So this isn't like, and they're just so over the top. Like if you shoot them in the balls, they like, grab it and freak out and wail. Everyone was probably instructed to turn up their dramatics to level 11 and go with it. And you could just feel like the fun of to make this game was probably super fun. So the most iconic moment from this game comes with the finale when you're on Air Force One trying to save the president. This is the only light gun shooter I know of that has multiple endings. There might be more. But if you shoot the pistol out of the main terrorist hand that's got his gun pointed to the president's head, you get the good ending, which you kick him out of a moving airplane. He flies out the side. He gets sucked in the engine and turned into bits. It's like very gory, but it's hilarious and over top. It's playing like super patriotic rock music while it's happening. No one else gets sucked out through the door. It's just the main terrorist, but it's classic. It's highly recommend you looking it up on YouTube. It's great. But this game has, why I love this game, it literally has everything. You've got over-the-top weapons, like you're shooting laser beams, you're throwing grenades, not just shotguns and pistols and machine guns. There's ninja fights. Randomly, the terrorists will be like, ninja battle! Like, ninjas will come out and start trying to kill you. It's kind of, if you were like a 12-year-old, like, what do I want to happen next? I don't know. How about ninjas? It's very goofy. It's very fun. The reason I think, personally, why it reviewed so poorly on the Wii, it's a pretty difficult game as far as light gun shooters go. And Wii's a great console for light gun shooters, but this one, it's not a control thing. It's just a challenging game, which is okay. Like, you have continues. I don't know why. I read a couple of the reviews and people really panned the difficulty. This isn't like Dark Souls hard or anything. Like, I didn't struggle with this game. I died, but I didn't like rage quit or anything.
It's so dumb because you can just push start and keep going.
Right. It's not like Die Hard arcade where you got to sit there and play a 70s arcade game to get lives in it or anything like that. Another reason, I don't know if people got that it was not taking itself seriously. I read several reviews where this is just ridiculous. It's like, it's supposed to be. It's hammy. It's over the top. It knows what it is. It doesn't disguise itself as anything else. So I found that really, really weird. People were almost like this game's just so macho and too over the top and pro-America. It's like, it's taking the piss out of itself. I think it's okay to do sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's the main reason why it's got such poor reviews. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there's not better light gun games on the Wii, because there definitely is. But even besides, it's a perfectly competent, as far as gameplay goes, light gun shooter. 2 players can drop in and out anytime. Like, it's got everything you need as far as pulling a trigger and reloading. It's people just, I don't think they understood how the presentation was supposed to be the way it was. I think the expectation was that, especially for the times, you got to think like 2000s, like America itself was in that weird spot where it was like everybody was super patriotic, and here's like kind of like a farce of that during that time. People took that maybe off, but yeah, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And I don't think it sugarcoats or tries to pretend like it's not supposed to be like that at all. Like, it's very apparent, in my opinion, that this is definitely a parody.
I don't know how anyone took anything serious when there's so much like bathroom humor,
Yeah, it's like super juvenile. Even like just the turkeys and stuff. Like, come on, like how did not anybody realize this? And it's a lot of people, like, go with reviews, even YouTube videos. Like, I was doing research for this, and I'm like, why does everyone not get this? Like, no one understands this.
I find it, this particular one on the Wii is interesting to me because it feels like shovelware, and it reviews like shovelware. It's not expensive like shovelware, though, or it's not cheap like shovelware is, though. It's expensive.
That's around $60 right now if you want to purchase a copy.
Right. So that's just kind of like, you got 2 out of 3.
Right.
The third one was the price. Like, I wasn't expecting this one to be expensive, so I'm not sure, like, what factor. Oops.
I tried to find. I couldn't really find why it's expensive.
I mean, my best guess is the time it came out and the criticisms it got about the themes at the time. Maybe, like, made it a hot button thing, and people are pulling it off shelves because they didn't want to seem un-American, or I don't know.
It's not common, but it's not rare either. It's like that weird middle ground of Wii.
I mean, I remember how long you were trying to find this thing, and it took forever just to find one.
Yeah,
It took me a long time to find mine, too, yeah.
It's not super rare. It's not a ghost. Like, there's some on eBay right now.
Right.
But I wasn't trying to pay
Right.
asking prices for it.
No, but
'Cause it is very short. It's like an hour long.
I mean, just for low budget shovelware, bad review shovelware, the price just doesn't match what you would normally expect, and I find that interesting about this title.
A quick other interesting note is, like, obviously there isn't as much media coverage on arcade machines, but you can find, like, people talking about them on forums and stuff. The arcade was, like, well received.
When did the arcade come out?
Year before. So
Okay.
this came out literally the year after, but it's very strange.
Well,
that, like,
you have to also think the Wii is a family console.
right, that's true.
So I think that had something to do with it.
Yeah, but it's funny because the same magazines that will give this game a shit score will be like, we need more adult games. We're not just kids playing on Nintendo. And then they're going to criticize when an adult game comes out.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You know, this wasn't Eternal Darkness 2. Fuck this game. Anyways, I'll get off my high horse.
This is also the same outlet magazines that'd be like, Pokemon's too easy.
This
Yeah,
is Pokemon. It's
it's
Digimon.
made for kids.
Yeah.
Stop min-maxing Pokemon. Anyways.
Yeah, but we're right.
Zinger.
I'll end it with a quote. I think it kind of is harsh, but this is the general thought of this game, unfortunately. This is from Game Target. It's not even worth the quarter it cost in the arcades.
Dang.
I'm telling y'all, if you see this game for a quarter, pick it up. All right, Brian, I like this next one you picked. I grew up playing it with you, so go ahead and tell us what it is.
Yeah, it definitely keeps in with the theme of just cheese on top of cheese on top of cheese. I've got Cabela's Dangerous Hunts 2009 for the Xbox 360 with another rousing Metacritic score of 42%.
I would like to point out that I tried to find review videos of this on YouTube, and they are basically non-existent. So
Yeah, it's weird. There's like hardly any fanfare for this game, and I think if people played it and realized how it's up there with Target Terror as far as like absurdity. This game is wild. That's why it's on my list. But released in September 23rd, 2008, the Xbox 360 version was developed by Fun Labs and published by Activision. So yeah, everybody's pretty familiar with the Cabela series. Like, they're usually simulator hunters. The Dangerous Hunts line is not a hunting simulation. You go into these, quote, action zones, and the dangerous animals come to you, basically. Like, yeah, you got to walk around and find them, but it's more of like an arcade shooter. There is a story to this, kind of. It's being polite. Basically, you're like this, big game hunter, and you like to get exotic animals.
Are you Papa John? Papa John's?
It's Jimmy John, right?
Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
Is there a day of reckoning?
No, this guy's more of a douche.
Is it John the Jimmy?
This guy's
Jimmy the
more
John?
of a douche, because we'll get to some of this dialogue. But
Jimmy John.
yeah, the boss animals are basically like there's a jaguar with a golden eye or something crazy, like there's just wild shit. But my favorite level, well, it's the same. Yeah, I think it's the same level. You're hunting this, I don't remember what the deal is with this jaguar. It's some kind of jaguar, and like it basically captures this woman, right? Captures her out in the jungle, and
The Jagular.
and you've got to go save her. But literally, like, he keeps hinting at like, oh, that trophy's out there. Like, forget the girl. Like, what? Like, you go save her.
Do you have a choice?
No, it's like it's
pretty linear.
It's pretty linear. Even when you're going through the jungle, there's like a clear path you follow.
Dang it. I was hoping there was like a branching path where you were like, Yeah, let's go get the kill.
Well, I mean, basically, because like after you do save her and you kill this thing, she like runs you. She's like, "Oh, thank you for saving me." And he's literally like holding her, and he turns his head and looks at the corpse, and he's like, "No, thank you," because he knows that's his trophy. Like, dude's the biggest douche on the planet. But every level's like that. You'll be walking through the jungle. There's like a snake in a tree, like not attacking you, and you just blast it with like the elephant gun, and just you ain't hunting trophies. You're just shooting. Like this dude's a douche.
Thrill kill hunter.
Yeah, literally. But this is the last. I mean, the story is just totally insane. But this is also significant to the Cabela's Dangerous Hunt games because this is the last one that was not a light gun game. Also, it introduced QTEs to this series, which everyone loves QTEs, right?
NFTs?
Quick time events.
Got it in there.
Yeah. But
Activision published it, right? So give them time.
Yep. But it's funny because like just even those are so absurd. Like the best one in the games, you're going through like this, African, there's like a river or something. I don't fucking know. But there's like these crocodiles just like, across the way. You have to snipe them. Okay. So these crocodiles are just walking in the water and just picking these off. And then one of them gets to you. And it does like the roll and the animation's like so bad. You jam your knife into it and you're just spinning with this croc the whole time. This is on YouTube, so try to find a gameplay of this because it's worth the watch. And you're having this QTE with like this giant mega croc who's the boss or whatever, and you're hung on the knife with the roll, and you get it on your feet, and it charges you, and you like uppercut this thing with your knife, like just split its guts. It's not graphic or anything, but like you just beat a crocodile, like a super croc with a knife. It's so ridiculous, man. Like the dialogue's ridiculous, the gameplay's ridiculous. Stupid fun. Much like,
don't you like choke out a crocodile?
There's all sorts. I mean, you're like hanging on it like your big guns.
Then you're gonna suplex it or not.
It's wild, dude. Like it's like Darkest of Days, where just so over the top and just turn your brain to neutral. Don't overthink it. Like the dialogue's amazing. But yeah, its game doesn't overstay its welcome. It's short, it's quick, it's fun. Brain neutral. Just go out and blast some stuff. I'll leave y'all with a review from the official Xbox magazine, which gave it a 35. This new Cabela's entry is more like most boringest wanderers thanks to the shoddy objective marker that either randomly disappears or leads you in circles. Yeah, the action zones, they're linear, but there's times where literally the objective marker just does 360s. So it's janky mess. It's fun. I don't think it's totally unplayable. Like,
no, I remember when you bought it, because we were living together when you picked it up, and you were pretty heavy on the Cabela's games there for a minute, and it was fun. I just remember it being, it almost didn't feel done. It wasn't super polished, but Cabela's, it's funny. Like, as much people talk smack about the line, there's so many Cabela's games, dude.
Yeah, it was part of like Activision's license with that was like one of their budget titles, but that's a long running series, and like, we were playing it for achievements or whatever, and I was trying to get every Cabela's game done. The Dangerous Hunts, it's my favorite because like you don't have to think, you just blast and keep going. Like,
so anyways,
started blasting. So the next game is something I've never experienced, which I know you two just adore.
This is the reason we started this podcast.
Yeah, honestly,
like not even joking. Like partial truth to this next title, very near and dear to Barry and myself's heart. We need more reasons to talk about this game.
What game you got, Barry?
All right, so this came out in the epic year of 2007. A lot of epic games came out that year. You know what? Mass Effect, and this lovely game called Two Worlds, exclusive on the Xbox 360 at the time. Console was exclusive. It's also on PC. Put out by Topware and South Peak. It's like $8 maximum, but like buy it on Steam for $10. Please try it out. Two Worlds, you can sponsor me if you want. I'll do whatever you want. Give me the playing cards. Anyways, it has a score of 50 on Metacritic. The user score on Metacritic is a 5.4, but the Steam reviews have it positive 75% of all time, which that seems pretty accurate to me.
Yeah, and the Steam version specifically, there's a lot of quality of life.
They patched. So if you get it on Steam, they've done some patches.
It's way more modern.
But
PC.
Let me go ahead and hit you with this quote from GamerNode. And this is as of the game that dropped day one. So as it stands, this is something most players will refuse to play until several updates and fixes are made. The sad part, this game is strangely addicting at times. Imagine what it could have been. Two Worlds is quote-unquote the Oblivion killer. It's supposed to stack up to Oblivion. It is a third-person fantasy, high fantasy RPG, open-world quest gear system. And I will read you the plot on the back of the box.
Let's go. I'm so excited to talk about this game, sorry.
300 years after Azeroth has been banished, a brother and sister are drawn into the conflict which has flared between the orcs and the free world. Kira, the hero's younger sister, suddenly disappears in mysterious circumstances. Ooh. You get a shock during a meeting with the delegates of a Dark Brotherhood. The Dark Brotherhood. Your sister's kidnappers are indeed after your family's relic. Whether there's any truth in your family being chosen ones or not, the others obviously believe in it. And if you ever want to see Kira alive again, you'll have to act swiftly. That is a pretty generic synopsis.
It's a pretty generic storyline overall.
It's a pretty generic game. But, Nate, why do you love this game?
Man, where do I even begin? Like, honestly...
I think this was one of our first big bonding moments.
Yeah, it was.
Actually.
Oh, man, I was so not ready for what I experienced. Why do I love this game? It's the most charming game I've ever played. The dialogue, we've talked about it with these other games. They are so far beneath the voice acting. The script they selected for these people to speak into the microphone is hilarious. A note on the voice acting. Most of the voice acting is done by the people who made the game. And you can tell they have no experience in voice acting. They couldn't quite decide on how they wanted the world to speak. So there's very times where it gets very ye and thou. And then there's times where, you know what, I just don't care. I'm going to deliver this line like a bro. And there's no consistency to it, which makes it wonderfully charming. There's pray thee nay. It's like a common... It means 5 different things throughout the game. Sometimes it's like an introduction. Sometimes it's like pardon to bother you. Like, it's so funny and...
Hold!
So, specifically, my first moment of like ear-to-ear grin in this game, it's fairly early on. I'm on my little journey, on my little way. The wilderness is packed with animals in this game. I noticed there's a wolf starting to attack me. My main character looks at this wolf and goes, bandits. So, I'm getting shot by...
Those are the goblins, too.
Oh, yeah. Everything's a bandit. Spoiler. But you can tell that they had a passion for making this game, but it's like there just wasn't the ability and like the production wasn't there. But they like put their heart into trying to make like a badass game. And it is a fun game. It's just, you got to deal with what it actually is. I love Oblivion. It's one of my favorite games ever. It is not an Oblivion killer, but I stack it up right next to Oblivion for the experience I had with it. I love the jank about this game. I love the feel of this game. I love everything about this game, literally. I was actually upset when it was actually over because I couldn't like play it anymore. Yeah, Barry, how about you to share some things you love about this game?
What I have written down. It's pretty big. The horse riding is bad. The horse riding is awful.
But awesome.
It's so bad. The gameplay is really broken. The voice acting is classically awful.
But awesome.
It did not... And here's the thing. Here's the big reason on why it really just reviewed super poorly when it came out, is it did not deliver on what was promised. And I think that's an appropriate criticism. But beforehand, it was very heavily marketed almost, where a lot of outlets were like, this is going to be a big deal, reporting on it constantly. And then when it came out, a lot of the things, even on the back of the box, are not in the game. So like on the back, it says adventure with up to 8 players online. Didn't have it.
I think they ended up eventually adding an online component to Two Worlds on the console where you could do quests, like co-op quests together, but it wasn't like your character you brought over the multiplayer. It was like a separate thing. I tried. I could never match with anybody, unfortunately, so
No.
I'm pretty sure it's peer-to-peer, so we should probably jump on and knock this quest out, Barry.
Do you know, was the co-op on launch, or was it added in later?
I believe it was an update.
Not the online, just co-op.
I believe it was an update later. I could be wrong on that, but...
Okay, because on the back of the box it says co-op 2 to 8. We're talking players 1, online multiplayer 2 to 8, and co-op 2 to 8. Does the Xbox even connect 8 controllers at one time?
Oh, co-op? Hell no. Like
That's
online.
what I'm saying.
Like, no way.
It says co-op 2 to 8.
We have to test this. Right,
And
right?
online 2 to 8.
I'm not joking. We have to seriously test this.
I'd be down.
Yes.
Anyways.
Like, make an episode out of it. More reasons to talk about Two Worlds.
6 different mounts you can ride and fight from, including various horses and lizard creatures.
Ooh.
I don't remember lizard creatures. I don't think they were delivered.
I had a horse the whole time.
And it was like one color.
Yeah.
Hyper-realistic environments with amazing seasonal and weather changes.
There was varied environments. I don't remember them changing seasons or anything.
Did it rain?
Yeah. There was rain. It was bad.
Well, then I guess it counted. Okay.
There wasn't seasons, though. It wasn't like leaves falling and then not.
Seamless transition from indoor to outdoor.
Nothing about this game's seamless.
Okay. Anyways, in a nutshell, there's stuff on the box very clearly that, like, it did not happen when it got put out. What I love about it is everything that we did get, obviously. Like, online stuff, sure, whatever. I guess we'll test it out one day just to see how fun it is, because I've never actually experienced that.
I did get to experience horse racing once. It's terrible and beautiful. It's like Seabiscuit with Two Worlds.
Is the horse racing only on the Epic Edition? Or is it, like, for the X360 game, too?
Put it on there. 360.
Okay, because I have a PC one.
Yeah, I have it on PC. I don't have it on Steam. I have the actual disc. So I should probably buy it on Steam.
It's only $10 on Steam. You can steal things, you can fight bandits and wolves and goblins, and every time the goblin dies, they're just like, bleh! That's what they sound like. It's pretty accurate.
That's extremely accurate.
It really did try to replace Elder Scrolls, and it, like, fell on its face so hard. But there's just something about this that, like, I don't even care if it's comparable to Oblivion. I like it more than Oblivion. I do. I've actually never played Oblivion because I find it so boring. Well, I've played it. I've never beat it, but I find it boring. This game is so fun constantly. I'm sorry.
Nate's over here having a heart attack.
To me, Two Worlds did kill Oblivion. Okay?
All the other shit in the box is fake, but that's a true statement in various worlds.
10 out of 10. But it's one of those games that you go back to time and time and time again, no matter how bad it is. You know what? They put quality of life patches out and it's still awful, but it's amazing. Like, I really believe it is a game that everyone needs to experience. And then if you come out liking it, then there's plenty of other games out there like this for you.
I think this is kind of the equivalent of like the room for introducing someone to bad movies to see if they're into them or not. Like, I think this is the game that you would kind of be like, hey, if you don't mind checking this one out, you might like this kind of stuff. But I think it's a good introductory to people to introducing the shitty games in general. Like, you start playing it. And I remember the day I started playing it, we had friends over, and Buddy walked in. He's like, what the hell are you playing? I'm like, it's called Two Worlds. And like, we also sat there and watched me play it for a couple hours. So like, what the hell is happening? This is so crazy. This is a game. Like, it's just cracking up the whole time. Like, do not skip any of the dialogue. Do not skip any of the cinematics. They're awesome. Like, they add to it. Yeah, it's a wonderful game. It's so oddly addicting the more you play it. Like, trying to clear the map out 100% the map was like the last achievement I needed, and I was like, I started going slower and slower. Like, I don't want this game to end. Like, this is so fun.
Yeah, I think I would say if someone who's never played it, just the lore of this and hearing you two talk about it for literally years, it's a hilarious experience. But my favorite thing that I've seen about this game is being able to beat the final boss right at the beginning of the game.
Oh, yeah!
Barry, since you've actually like experienced it, go ahead and talk about that.
You've watched this video too, Nate, right?
Absolutely.
So basically what happens, there's a video on YouTube. Please go watch it because it is the funniest thing ever. I think he beats the game in about 2.5 minutes.
World record's like around 2 minutes and 19 seconds.
Is that what it is?
Last time I checked.
2:13 or something like that. But you start the game, and once you get out of start the Elder Scrolls dungeon and fight a skeleton or whatever, you get out, and you have to go talk to this guy named Gandohar. And Gandohar tells you, hey, we got to go rescue your sister. Here's what you got to do. And you have to go meet him in part of the town. The thing is Gandohar is the final boss. So, what you do to break this game is you shoot a fireball at Gandohar, and then you run inside of the town. And so, when an enemy follows you into a crowd of people, they see that enemy as also an enemy. Kind of like all the town people are guards. Like, the enemies don't run away, they just keep fighting. So they tried to do some kind of system like other games where the enemies will follow you up until you get to the safe town. The guards will like ward them away and then go back to their posts. No. Okay? The second those citizens see Gandalf come into their range, it is an all-out brawl. Every single person in that town is hoeing down on this man. He's trying to fireball them left and right. You got civilians dying here, but there's so many of them that they just mob him to death. Well, kill Gandalf. You can stand, like, the video is hilarious. He just stands there and watches this mob kill Gandalf. And then his body is on the ground, and then all the NPCs realize he's dead and just, like, slow walk away, like, back to where they're supposed to go. Hard cuts to the end cut scene of Gandalf, like, laying on the ground in, like, a castle with,
Fucking
like,
layer.
with, like, a ritual, circle around him and all this crazy stuff, and there's like a narration over it of being like beat the game. It is so funny, and I will go back and watch that video time and time again because it's just so funny. Best game breaking bug other than being launched into space.
Yeah, there's 2 endings to this game too, and I've not played the sequel to this game. Barry, you played it, right?
I started it, I haven't finished it.
Not quite the same though, right?
No, they actually gave a shit on the second
A
one.
little more polished. Yeah, it's not this. I mean, it's probably worth playing. I haven't seen people say bad things about it, but like this game is Hall of Fame game for me. Like
the second game, I'm not going to say the second game is bad, but it reminds me of how good the first game is, so I just stopped playing the second game to go back to play the first game.
Say the weird thing with 2 is, wasn't there DLC that came out like very recently for 2?
There's like 2 or 3
8
packs.
years or something.
You can
after
download
release.
those too.
Yeah.
I have them. I just haven't played them yet.
same. I have them also. They're actually because they've been teasing Two Worlds 3 for a while. So I think the pandemic kind of put some pause on it, but it's still in the works.
I sure hope they recorded in their bathrooms. That'd be awesome.
Dude, we might get that because of the pandemic. They're like, oh, let's do the
I'm saying.
voice work at home. Like, God, please.
Back to their
Interesting.
roots.
What audience are you making Two Worlds 3 for? Are you making it for people who are fans of like the first one, or are you trying to like do what you originally tried to do and try to make like the ultimate killer RPG? But yeah, I honestly cannot say enough good things. If you never listen to a single thing any of us say again, like play Two Worlds. My God, it's so good.
The only thing I can think of to mention is there is an area of the map where you can't really get to it, and it looks like a castle. I think there might be a way to actually get inside, but there's nothing there. It looks like a bare bones of like a possible DLC expansion that they just stopped doing.
Yeah.
That I remember I tried to go to the south of the map and was like, what is this huge looking castle back here? I can't get in the castle. And then I think I glitched into the castle and there was nothing in there. And I'm like, oh, that's just super disappointing. So I think that might have been dead DLC or a dead expansion. Are there any games you guys think are really bad that are also really good? We want to hear them.
Yeah, let us know on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
Twitter.
We'd love to hear about it. We're always on the lookout for more shitty games to play and discover. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys about that one. All right, Brian, tell us what's down next for the Collecti-Bros schedule.
It's another episode of Is It Worth It for an original Xbox game, Teen Titans.
Teen Titans!
Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. Oh my God.
I don't want to kill any.
Public domain. It's a horror movie now.
Oh my
It's not a
God.
children's book.
All right. God. Nick, you first then. We gotta make them snappy.
Collecti-Bros love dinosaurs. This was not an easy list to make. I'm going to marry Triceratops. For plenty of years, I don't have to worry about it eating me and turning on me. It can protect me from T-Rex attacks. I think it's an all-around great dinosaur to build a life with. If I want to have a night of fun, I'm picking a pterodactyl because I'm going to fly around in the air and do some crazy shit. As far as killing dinosaur, they're already dead, so it's a complicated and perplexing pick. But the one, like, hey, you can't bring this in a Jurassic Park movie, anything like that. I'm going to pick a Plesiosaurus because, in theory, it's the one that could still be alive that got away. And if it starts reproducing at a rapid rate, it'll destroy our ecosystem. So I'm going to save humanity by picking a Plesiosaurus. Brian, how about you?
What the fuck is a Plesiosaurus? The water one?
Underwater
Yeah.
Loch Ness
Okay.
Got their
monsters.
neck.
It does have a neck, kind of.
Well, what a segue into my choice. God, I haven't thought about it. Let's see. Marrying.
Bro, I gotta look up dinosaurs because I don't
That's
know
what
their
I'm
fucking
saying. I
names.
don't know. I'm going to go with like an herbivore, like one of the big plant-eating gentle giants.
It's a good thing you have options.
Yeah. So, Spike from Land Before Time, what's he?
Spike?
Spike.
Yeah,
with the fins on his back.
no, the one that
Stegosaurus?
eats. The one that's like.
Stegosaurus. Wasn't he a
Spike?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
Spike
yeah.
is a T-Rex.
No. I thought Spike was the one that was like kind of fat and
Derpy.
lazy and eats.
It's a Stegosaurus.
Wait,
Hang on.
what's the T-Rex?
That's Sharptooth.
Sharptooth.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen Littlefoot.
We're not doing Land Before Time characters.
Look, what type of dinosaur?
A Stegosaurus.
Spike.
Stegosaurus.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
it's a
got spikes,
Stegosaurus.
is he? All right.
No, they're like weird fins. They're like pentagon fins.
Yeah.
I might be getting my creatures confused.
He's a baby Stegosaurus, so
Yes.
he's not going
This
to have
guy,
like.
he's not okay. Well, yeah.
Spike's a Stegosaurus.
He's a Stegosaurus,
All right,
bro.
marrying a Stegosaurus. They're gentle giants. They like to eat. I like to eat.
I almost had a
Oh my
Stegosaurus.
Come home to
God.
a home cooked meat. Because clearly all of them act just like Spike from Land Before Time, right? All right. So Mary, I guess I'm gonna bang a T-Rex. Why not? Live dangerous. Small arms. Make it feel good.
All head, no hands.
Yeah, that's right. Hey.
I just lost network connection.
And I guess I'm just gonna kill like a Spinosaurus or something big. I don't know. Like they don't need to be going around eating my friends, you know. How about you, Barry?
Oh my god. Okay, I just got a crash course on dinosaurs because I can't remember their names. I actually was like, Triceratops was my Mary choice, and then literally you said it, and I was like if mine's easy. It's got the horns. It's
Yeah,
protective, but
protect
it's
you,
not gonna like
gentle.
come eat you.
Oil.
Yeah. Are these even real? Are these even real dinosaurs? I don't even know if these are. I think these are real dinosaurs.
And there are some people that don't think dinosaurs are real.
Well, you know what? They can stop listening to this podcast.
We're pro dinosaur on this podcast.
We're pro
It's very
dinosaur. Hold
Damn,
on.
them necks though.
I know. Brontosaurus was almost like a pig. Brachiosaurus. I mean, if it wasn't an aquatic plesiosaurus, it'd be very.
I'm trying to think of Horizon Zero Dawn dinosaurs.
Convert them.
Yeah.
You got your long necks.
I feel like I'm making this longer than it should.
It's all right. It's a very
Dinosaurs,
important
God,
question.
it's so general. Just sitting here like, oh god.
Look, it was on the spot, okay?
I know. I'm panicking.
I was gonna have Tigger be bouncing on me, but, you know.
Do what?
I was gonna have Tigger be bouncing on me, but no.
God damn it. Stop. Alright, I guess I'll be the one to bone a velociraptor.
Brave. Clever girl.
You wanted aggressive. Piggy pick the velociraptor, I guess. I don't know.
That toe tap.
Oh, okay, there it is. And then I'm gonna kill. What's those ones that steal the eggs constantly?
Oh, the little runner ones.
Damn it.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
had little fins or whatever.
Fuck them things.
Yeah, leave the little eggies alone. All right,
Gotta get a name here.
get out of here.
Those are good ones to kill. I should have picked them.
Looking like the little lizards we got now with the frills. It's like a little frill dragon,
Yeah.
It's an oviraptor,
an oviraptor.
which literally
egg raptor.
translates to egg thief.
Okay, dead. Leave the eggs alone.